Righty, g'day guys. Welcome back to Statchat Sports. Steve and Tazza. Tazza, we're back after a short week's break, talking for some more football.
Yeah, mate, it's good to be back. Little week off. Kind of life got the better of us,
Life
so
gets
we're
in the way
back, and
sometimes, yeah.
it does. So we're back, and yeah, we're ready to roar into it.
It was a bad week to miss actually because of a certain result that happened. Not obviously not last weekend, but weekend gone. But you said to me before we started recording just now that a lot happens in a week, and things quickly get forgotten in a week's time. And that couldn't be more spot on. With Liverpool in this case beating United 7-0 one week and then proceeding to lose to relegation candidates Bournemouth 1-0 the following week. That's Liverpool's season through and through to an absolute T so far this season. Beaten some top sides and lost to just about all the bottom sides. I think they've lost to Bournemouth. They lost to Wolves a few weeks ago, which I think at the time they were in relegation at that time. They've lost to Leeds. They've lost to Nottingham Forest. It's just that sort of season for them. And it doesn't completely rule them out of the top four at the moment, obviously, but it doesn't help.
Yeah, it's their season in a nutshell. It's just losing the games that they should win, and then you go and win the games that they've probably nailed on to lose against United, and they don't just win them; they plough through them. So I don't get it. It's the most infuriating thing. It's you never switch off it, but these are the kind of results that just make you want to switch off sport. They're really infuriating. I didn't watch the game live. I was busy, but it was almost inevitable for this team. I really hoped that Liverpool had turned a corner, but it was almost inevitable that they were going to drop this because it's been the story of their season. It's one step forward and two steps back. So I don't know where they go from here. I mean, it's a disgusting run of games coming up. United was a step in the right direction, and like I just said, this was five steps back probably. City, Chelsea, Arsenal, I think in the next three. So, I mean, they're going to have to rewrite the script and really, they're going to have to win these games if they're any chance. They do have a nice run going home, but I think they're almost finding themselves a little bit too far back. I don't expect Tottenham to collapse, or not collapse. They well could, but I don't expect Tottenham to be in free fall like we've seen a little bit with Newcastle.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Like, obviously, like they've done well to work themselves back into the position that they're in now. Obviously, like 5 weeks ago, they were like 10th or 11th or something like that, and they were that far off the pace. It sort of wasn't even in the conversation. I know I'd pretty much conceded that they weren't going to finish top four, and they've got themselves into a position. But not only do they have to now really take maximum points from those three huge games coming up in the next few weeks, but they really do have to hope that the teams above them drop some as well. Especially because Newcastle have games in hand, Tottenham not so much. But even with Liverpool winning their game in hand, they're still behind Tottenham anyway, so they've got to rely on points drop there. So it's almost not it's not in their hands quite as much as what we would probably prefer it to be for them to really make the push. I think there's 11. I think I heard today there's 11 rounds left. Obviously, there's games all over the place because of postpones and stuff like that. So there's not 11 games left. There's 11 rounds left. So there's still plenty of football to play, plenty of points up for grabs. But yeah, they're going to need to really forget about last week's result and look forward. And I think they got Real Madrid in the Champions League. At the time of recording this, it would be maybe Wednesday morning for us.
I think it's Wednesday morning.
Yeah, which obviously that is currently 5-2 on aggregate, and they're going to the Bernabeu to try and turn something around there. I mean, they've worked miracles before against Spanish teams in the Champions League, so you never know, but I can't see it happening. So really, all that's left to play for is a top four push. So and if they don't get that, then well, they may struggle to pull some talent in the next transfer window, which is what they seriously need to get the rebuild going.
Yeah, it's a hugely important 11 rounds left, 12 games for Liverpool. It's this could set the tone for the next 3 or 4 or 5 seasons in terms of missing out on Champions League it's almost life or death for these teams, especially the big ones. You just can't afford it. Um, a club like Liverpool, they've got the stature, they've got a world class manager, but there's only so much that buys you, and it doesn't buy you top talent. Top talent they do not want to sit outside the Champions League, especially if you've got obviously the big one, Bellingham. He's got everyone else, all of the other suitors are pretty much nailed on for Champions League. So he's taken a big hit in terms of prospects if he decides to go to Liverpool if they don't have Champions League. And why would he? I mean, yeah, they'll probably promise him the world, but it comes with one big caveat of no Champions League. So it's a big deal. They've got 12 games to really turn this around, and it really needs to start with 3 points against City. And that's a horrible thing to say because, I mean, it's highly unlikely. But, I mean, they've done it before. I think maybe that's what this team needs, just to be smacked back down to earth again. There was way too much hype. For one game, I heard way too much hype about this Liverpool squad, and for all the shit that's happened this season, there was way too much. I don't want to say that they didn't deserve any hype whatsoever, but I heard a lot of people saying Darwin Nunez and Cody Gakpo are the future. Their ceiling is limitless. Why? Because they both scored a double in the same game. Like, yeah, I mean, Nunez started off pretty average, and he's getting there. But you want to see a hell of a lot more before you start putting those big tags on these players. And I don't know, it really is. That result's put egg on a lot of people's faces, including their own. So, yeah, I hated seeing all that the pumping up. It was just unnecessary after what was, let's be honest, it was a fluke. I mean, that's not going to happen again in a long, long time.
Yeah, no, exactly. You're spot on. I mean, and staying on United, they were terrible in that second half. They were obviously right in it right up until half time. But to come out in the second half and concede a second within 2 or 3 minutes, not only would it obviously have hurt the confidence, but they just gave up. And we saw players not tracking back from United's side, and just lots of complaining. It's just, there was just nothing there for them in that second half. They at 3-0, none of them wanted to be there. They wanted to be on the coach back to Manchester, and they were done. And a few weeks ago we were talking about United and the whole quadruple and chances and all that sort of stuff, and we said there that the league was going to be the toughest one for them to potentially get, and that result a few weeks ago against Liverpool pretty much, probably more so, confirmed that there was no chance of them winning the Premier League this season. So a quadruple is probably fair to say it's well and truly off the cards now. And result just being a 0-0 draw against Southampton at the weekend, just further damage that. So they've still got there's still plenty to play for them. They're not safe in top 4 at the moment. Anything can happen there. But the loss of Casemiro for 4 games, picks up his second red card after a challenge at the weekend, which was controversial in the eyes of United fans. It was a yellow initially, overturned by VAR to a red. And because it's his second, he'll miss 4 games. And I know there was a lot of disappointment and a lot of anger towards the referee in charge of VAR, which the guy, he escapes me, but he was the same bloke in charge of the VAR for Chelsea Leicester last week, I believe. And it was the same guy that saw the challenge. It was a challenge on João Felix, which was very, very dangerous, very high studs, and it was he basically, let it slide and stuck with the yellow. And then this Casemiro challenge, which to be fair probably isn't as bad as that one on João Felix, but he decided this one was worthy of a red card, and I think that's where United's frustrations come from. I think, my opinion, I think it's difficult to argue that that wasn't deserved of a red card. I think it was. He does go in quite high, studs are up. He does end up coming over the ball just because of the way that momentum works. But it was a dangerous tackle, and I think it was warranted of a red card. But I think that the argument from United fans is this whole inconsistency towards or coming from referees, which we've spoken about multiple times. That's no secret about that. But they're not too happy about missing a player of his caliber for 4 games.
Oh yeah, Casemiro it's a huge loss. He's been the catalyst for probably their turnaround this season. I think he's been him and Rashford, obviously, are 2 of the main reasons why they are finding themselves in the top 4. And yeah, I tend to agree. I think he did come in pretty hard. Yeah, the argument will be that he's gotten to the ball first and then it's rolled over the ball, but studs are up. I think that's the thing you got to look at. The studs are up the whole time. If the ball wasn't there, then it was an automatic red. Yes, he won the ball, but he's also followed through with studs into. I can't remember who the opponent was, but yeah, it's tough, and you can look at 10 different situations like that throughout the season, and you look at every which one and think there's a precedent set. I guarantee they're all different. It's so hard. You can break all these things down to minute little details, and referees aren't machines. They're not going to get it exactly right every time. And I know that we've got a machine in VAR, but in the end, VAR is also human. I mean, you can take the time, but the more that we sit and we break down these incidents, the little things you're going to pick, and we're not going to get it right every time. But I think you'll find that it's mainly United supporters complaining about it and complaining that they're missing their talisman, really. So, right to have an argument, but I don't think they are correct.
How much of an impact does this have for the next 4 games for United?
I don't think so. So he won't be ruled out for Europe. So obviously they're coasting through anyway at 4-1. I think their next Premier League fixture is Brighton, possibly. So that's a big one. That Brighton obviously can. They've shown that they have what it takes to pull a punch. I'm just looking here. What have we got?
Looks like he'll miss Brighton, Newcastle, Brentford, and Everton.
Okay, so it's the first 2 that they're probably going to really miss him. Newcastle at St James isn't. Newcastle have shown they're not easy beats. They're not. Yeah. They're not the form team they were at the start, but they're not easy beats. So two that are going to hurt, but they're lucky they're probably not versing any of the top tier teams. Otherwise, they would probably get really found out there.
Let's go to the top between Arsenal and City, because it's well and truly a 2-horse race. We know that for a fact now. 5 points, the current gap. Arsenal City still to play each other again, which will be the blockbuster fixture, no doubt. But over the last 2 weeks, particularly last week, Arsenal rather doing what needed to be done to become champions. And I was talking to my mate at the time this game was live. He's an Arsenal supporter, and if it was the same way that I felt watching Liverpool a few years ago when they were in the same sort of position, when Reece Nelson scored that 94th, 95th, 96th, whatever minute winner it was, against Bournemouth after they were 2-0 down, You know, that's what champions are made of. That make or breaks the season there. You know, that was 2 weeks in a row. That game against Bournemouth and the week prior against Aston Villa, where they had stoppage time winners. That's 6 huge points there. Otherwise, you're talking 2 losses. Or sorry, no, one would have been a draw. Actually, both would have been a draw. So you're still picking up 2 points, but still, they wouldn't be sitting where they are at the moment, and they'd be behind City. So you know that is what champions are made of. Literally, like that's where the grit and the determination comes into, you know, go all the way to the very end. And from a player in Reiss Nelson who's had a up and down career at Arsenal, plenty of loan spells, but given the opportunity from his manager, and he paid back dividends for him.
Yeah, I saw a stat on Reiss Nelson. I think it's goals and assists per 90 minutes. And obviously he hasn't had that much time, but when he's come on, he's obviously made an impact. And his numbers were streets ahead there. Obviously a statistical anomaly, but I think Firmino was up there. He was probably averaging over a goal or assist a game. But Reiss Nelson, so I think Firmino's figures were like 1.2, and Reiss Nelson was sitting at like 5. It just shows that he is the man for the occasion, I suppose. And it just shows how Arsenal, their squad depth is really improved. They do have these guys, they're impact players, I suppose. You're not going to rely on him for 90 minutes a game. He's just not ready, or he's not at that level yet. But he absolutely has shown that he belongs, that he has a part to play in this team, and that's what you need from title-winning teams. You need deep benches with players that are willing to probably play that second fiddle role and perform when it counts. And like you said, we've seen that with the Liverpool team. The will to the Liverpool from, I think, 18-19. Just the will to find a way, and just the ability to eke out a goal just when it really matters. And Arsenal have it. They seem to just be answering every single doubt that's thrown at them. And it's hard to say. Obviously, City are a juggernaut, and they're just quietly lurking in the background. But Arsenal doing everything that they need to do to prove people wrong, and I would love to. I wouldn't love to see them win it, but you know, I think it would make for a nice story.
Yeah, it'd be better. I'd prefer to see him win it over City, to be fair.
Oh yeah,
that's a no-brainer. Could you see it going down to the last game of the season, or will this be summed up, you know, a few weeks prior?
I'm just looking at Arsenal's fixtures. I think we'll know before then. I mean, maybe not. The Man City Arsenal, I really wish that was closer to the end. That would make for really just a real climax. But we're going to see that sort of with a few games left. I think that's 27th of April. So there's a whole month of football after that. Arsenal finished the season relatively easily. I wouldn't say easily. Brighton, Forest, and Wolves in the last 3. So you'd think they're taking almost maximum, Brighton not being the danger game there. But look, City are going to claw some points back. I don't think Arsenal make this any bigger. But I think the status quo, they're both going to drop games. So I think this it'll sit around this for a little while. It might get a bit closer, but I actually can see Arsenal winning it.
Yeah, to be fair, I can as well. Like just based on sort of how the season's played up until this point, and how both teams have performed. I mean, it obviously goes without saying that Arsenal have been better. They're on top. They're 5 points clear, but it just seems like City are more likely to slip up at this point and drop more points than Arsenal are. You know, Arsenal had that little hiccup there where there was a space of 2 or 3 games where they dropped points. And since then they've come storming back, and to beat a Fulham side 3-0 was comfortable on the weekend as they did, who, you know, Fulham haven't been a walkover from anyone so far this season. And they dispatched of them relatively easy. So that say they're back to their best form, probably, bar 4 weeks ago. I think it's safe to say. City are obviously in that region as well. But it took a late-ish penalty to get the 3 points against Palace, and they've got Liverpool up next, which is always a tough game for them, even though it's at the Emirates. They tend to pick up 3 points against Liverpool at the Emirates, but at the Etihad rather. But yeah, I feel as if City are more likely to drop points than Arsenal. So can I see the gap getting bigger? Potentially. But I can't quite see it going all the way to the very end either. I think it'll be done, maybe 2 or 3 weeks before, something along those lines. But yeah, it would have been good to see, that City Arsenal fixture happen within the last 5 weeks of the season or something like that. It would have made for a really telling tale. Because they're the games that everyone wants to watch. You 1-2 going head to head, at the end of the season to basically decide the title. But that fixture will have a huge impact, because either Arsenal pull it to 8 points, potentially, or it comes back down to 2 and it's game on again. So they're lucky to be in the position that they are, to have that game in hand. Although they're obviously they don't want to lose that game. They've got that cushion, as long as they don't drop any other points anywhere else. But yeah, we'll see it go right down to the wire. And I hope to see an Arsenal win at the end of the season.
Yeah, City have had their fair share. I mean, they don't need any more. It's time to share it around, I think. So I think all the neutrals will be hoping for an Arsenal win.
If Ivan Toney had to bet on who would win, who would he be? Who would he be picking?
Oh, depends. Did he make any money out of these bets? I don't know.
Well,
I think
it seems like it's come out that he's basically pleaded guilty to just about all, whatever it was, 280 odd, 260 odd charges that were laid against him for these, for his betting. So he's set for a lengthy ban. I don't know exactly when it is, or when it'll start, or anything like this, but there's been a few other cases of players doing some dodgy stuff around betting as well. He's pretty adamant that any of these bets that he did, none of them involved games that he was involved in or anything like that. So does that make it any less worse? Maybe not. I don't know. He still gets slapped with 280 odd charges. But there was a few other cases. I think Kieran Trippier was involved in one for his move to Atletico Madrid, where he basically told a bunch of his mates to to bet on him to make the move to Atletico when he obviously knew that it was a done deal. I think he missed a handful of games there, nothing too crazy, but all the other cases that I've seen are directly involving the player and the team that he plays for, or they played for. So, but I don't think either of those other players were guilty of 200 plus charges either. So,
yeah, it's I don't know. Yeah, if you're looking at does him not being in the bet, can he manipulate it himself? It's yeah. I would think it's a little bit more lenient on him. But then again, who is he talking to? Who is he? He can't be paying. I highly doubt there isn't a big betting ring that they're about to uncover. I think it's pretty isolated. So, I mean, I don't know any more than what's in the public. In the newspapers, and yeah, what's been made out to the public. But yeah, it's a shame, because he's been such a bright light for Brentford, and I mean, what are they going to do without him? I mean, they look they're not going down. That's the thing. They're pretty well safe.
Oh yeah,
they've done the good work up until now, where they're not going down. So yeah, they're lucky they've got time to replace him, and to kind of to really look for a new, I mean, someone to lead the team. I mean, I don't follow Brentford that closely, so I wouldn't know what they've got waiting in the wings. But to replace a guy with the goals that Tony has provided, I don't think you're looking within the club. You've got to look outside, and that's
100%.
going to be a summer thing. So um, another season of Premier League football will mean that they've got the money to spend. So they're okay. I mean, they're going to have to get used to life without him because it's quite obvious that he is in some trouble.
Yeah, big blow for Brentford, but just as equally a big blow for him because I think he just would about just about been due for a big move. I think to him, he's been a quality striker since coming to the Premier League, and he did the job in the Championship too. The season they came up as well. Maybe not. Maybe not necessarily talking like a big six move, maybe, but something like a. I feel like we use Newcastle as an example all the time for this sort of thing, but or Newcastle could suit, or like a Tottenham, especially if Harry Kane was to move on in the summer. I think Ivan Toney would be the perfect replacement for Harry Kane at Tottenham. But all of that now, that's not going to happen because of this ban. So, it's just as much of a blow for him as it is for Brentford because that might have been his last chance at a potential big move. So he's only done himself a disservice.
Yeah, and not even the club level. I mean, he was probably on the precipice of maybe an England call up. So it's come at the worst time. And I mean, yeah, the people are going to find out these things eventually. So he's going to get what's coming to him. And I mean, you don't do this often without thinking you're probably going to get caught at some point. So he's only got himself to blame, but it is a shame because he has been playing very well. And I mean, yeah, he's not England's number one, but he is depth, and I could have seen him getting a cap or a couple of caps at some point.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I think we spoke about him a little bit, towards the start of the World Cup in terms of the England squad and who missed out and who made it and stuff like that. And I think we both agreed at the time that he deserved to be in the squad, even if he didn't make an appearance or made a handful of appearances. The goal scoring prowess is there, and obviously the penalty ability is there as well, which would have come in handy in shootouts in cup competitions. But we'll have to wait and see until it finally comes out in terms of what the final punishment will be, and how much football he's going to miss and how much of a big impact it'll make on his career.
Yeah, a lot of Premier League illegal activity to be resolved, including the City thing, which will go on for years. But yeah, whatever. I mean, there seem to be a few people with their fingers in pies that they shouldn't have their fingers in.
All right, let's change the note to a brighter note, and let's end off with a game of what's if. What's if? Who's that? What am I talking about? What game am I playing? I think it's my turn to guess this time.
It is.
Obviously, with last week off, I think the last time was your guess, and once again we got it in 5. Or you got it in 5. So we're still looking to break that 5th guess curse. And I think I'm feeling good today. I think I'm could be on the money. Within I'm going to say less than 4. Well, I'm going to give you an
less than
answer.
4. So
less than 4.
Wow. Okay.
We give ourselves 8 guesses for this, and literally so far we've gone no further than 5 and no less than 5 either. So,
and that's still not bad. That's quite good, but I think there's room for improvement.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to kick us off with a first guess of Eden Hazard.
Okay. You've got the league.
Oh, okay.
This is actually a good guess. It's quite a good guess. You've got at least 2 categories right here.
I'm looking good for 4.
You are. You are looking good for 4. He is the player that I have chosen is not 32, which Hazard is. He is not Belgian. He is in La Liga. He is an attacker. So you got 2 right.
Is he younger than 32?
Are we? Am I allowed to answer that? I don't think I'm allowed to answer
Yeah,
that.
yeah. You say,
Am
oh
I?
wait,
Oh, okay.
I think
Okay.
so.
Yeah, he's
I'm pretty
younger
sure
than
we normally do it.
32.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
He's younger than 32. Um, yes. That's pretty much. Yes, that's all you need.
Okay, I'm gonna go with Memphis Depay.
It's not Memphis Depay. It's not. And he's not Dutch. Uh, okay. It's the same team.
Okay.
Yeah. They're older than 29, which Memphis Depay is. Yeah, so you've basically almost narrowed down the age.
Mm-hmm.
You've got the league. Yeah, and an attacker.
Antoine
Leave you
Griezmann.
with my. No.
Oh,
No.
what?
Oh, no. Oh, I thought you had it. Oh.
It's only like a few players it could be.
Well, there's only one more, I'm pretty sure. Oh, I thought you were going
Well,
to do it.
it has to be Morata then.
Yes, it's
Oh.
Alvaro Morata. Oh, no. You were so close. Oh, I thought you had it. I was ready to jump up and be like, yes.
Hey, well, I got it in 4.
Yeah, you got it in
4.
4. It's good.
It's still 4.
It's not quite
less than 4, but it's less than 5.
Yeah, no, we've succeeded. We have succeeded because we have broken our 5 streak. So it's good. Well done. Well done. But
I've set the benchmark.
I cannot believe you picked 3 players from the same team and it was the 3rd player. That's what I just can't believe.
Out of like you put 2 players there. You put Griezmann and you put Morata together. I'm thinking 95% people are picking Griezmann.
Well, I was going to pick Griezmann, and I was like, I'm going to go a little bit
less obvious. Yeah. Nah, smart. Now, fair play. All right. Well, like we've broken the curse, so that's a small dub for Statchat. You've got big boots to fill next week.
That. I know. I don't know how I'm going to go with that. You really like the obscure picks, so I feel like you do. So I've got my work cut out for me next week.
You certainly do, mate. All right, we'll wrap it up there. Thanks a lot for joining us, sticking through. Make sure to subscribe to the channel so you are kept up to date with all the videos. AFL season coming up this week. So if you're interested in that, stay tuned. We'll have plenty of videos coming out throughout the whole season. And obviously we'll continue to bring you these videos for as long as we can. But Tazza, thanks a lot, mate. We'll catch you all next time. Cheers.